A girl had just come out of the water, only to be horrified to see her legs covered in blood. Confused and panicked, she turned, only to find everyone else screaming and running toward the shore. Their legs were also stained red, and the lake water had turned to blood. Something terrifying was in the water. A boy who hesitated for just a moment was suddenly dragged under by a mysterious force. The lake was full of man-eating creatures called the 730 men. They didn't just live in the lake. They appeared all over town. One even entered homes through water pipes. A worker checking the drainage system found a 730 man. Excited, he grabbed it and called his wife to prepare dinner. But just after hanging up, the creature bit his arm. It took all his strength to shake it off. More of them emerged from the water. The worker collapsed in fear and tried to crawl away. Several of the creatures clung to him. A massive one, nearly 2.5 meters tall, leapt onto him. With a horrifying scream, the 250-pound worker was dragged into the water. Elsewhere, an old fisherman was baiting his hook when a huge 730 man leapt out and bit his eye. His terrified dog fled. Watching his owner dragged away, the town grew alarmed as more people went missing. Police investigated and found 2 dead 730 men. Chief Park feared the disappearances were linked to these creatures. He urged the mayor to shut down the dam to prevent further attacks. But the mayor didn't believe him. The lake was now a tourist hotspot, and the water project was the town's main income. Closing the dam would cause major losses. He also didn't believe the creatures would attack humans. As he left, no one noticed a swarm of 730 men moving downstream. Meanwhile, a group of tourists was swimming, unaware of the danger. A girl returned to shore with bloody thighs, and panic broke out. Tourists screamed and ran for their lives. The lake turned red in an instant. Anyone left behind became food for the creatures. Park's daughter was among the swimmers. She called her father in fear. Normally, such creatures don't attack humans. The only explanation, they had mutated. Deputy Chief will send an officer to stop more people from entering the water. But the officer didn't take it seriously. He relaxed on a boat, playing with fish and drinking a cold beer. Suddenly, a 730 man jumped up and bit him. After a brief struggle, the officer stopped moving. When Park and Will arrived, they found the blood-stained boat. As they flipped it over, a creature attacked. Park rushed in with his sword, but it had already clamped onto Will's hand. Park quickly pulled out his dagger and stabbed it, finally killing it. Then Will got a call. Someone had found the officer's body and brought it to the station. They rushed back, asking a doctor to examine it, but they were too late. On the call, the doctor noticed the body move. A 730 man burst from the officer's belly and attacked. The doctor tried to fight back, but more creatures emerged. He couldn't escape. Park rushed in, only to find the doctor dead. The creatures had escaped through the sewer. If they reached homes through the pipes, the consequences would be devastating. Realizing the danger, Park contacted the town hall. The mayor was stunned, finally accepting the creatures were responsible. But when Park again proposed shutting down the water system, the mayor refused. To him, the creatures weren't that dangerous, just food that occasionally fought back. He cared more about the economy. Seeing the mayor ignore public safety, Park and Will decided to act on their own. Park had an idea: go live on TV and warn the public to stay away from the water. As he explained the plan to the station chief, he burned with urgency and raced to the studio. He yelled at her and even dismissed her from her position as a police officer. However, the captain never imagined that his retribution would come so soon. When he returned to the office and rushed to the toilet, he had no idea that a 730 man had already crawled in through the sewer pipe. The captain panicked and tried to escape, but it was too late. He died in the toilet in the most humiliating way possible. On the other side, a girl nervously entered the pool to swim, but the moment she got into the water, she was bitten by a 730 man. Later, Parker's daughter returned to the pool with her boyfriend. Just as they were about to get close, they suddenly spotted a corpse floating in the water. A 730 man crawled out of its mouth, terrifying them into swimming back to shore. But then more 730 men appeared in the pool and began devouring the body. Hearing the screams, the girl's mother rushed to the scene. The three of them ran back to their house in panic, but danger was already inside. A swarm of 730 men entered through the pipes. The toilet was crawling with them. The boy quickly hid in a pile of junk, trembling. All around town, the creatures emerged from sewers and pipes, forming an unstoppable army. Chaos erupted. Park, realizing the situation was out of control, rushed home with his colleagues to rescue his wife and children. But even the roads were blocked by these monsters. One terrified female officer froze in her car. She didn't even roll up the windows. The 730 men quickly swarmed her. When Park and his teammate arrived, her car was already surrounded. They were powerless, forced to watch as she was devoured alive. Without hesitation, they floored the accelerator and drove on. Meanwhile, the three at home had just arrived. The girl's boyfriend chose to split off and check on his family. Before leaving, he said goodbye. The girl went inside, only to find her mother trapped in the bathroom, trying to rescue her son. Fearing for her daughter's safety, the mother begged her to run, but the girl refused to abandon her. She grabbed the toilet lid and fought her way in. She handed her mother a red hair tie and dashed off to find a sharper tool. The mother joined in with her sword. A fierce battle broke out. A large 730 man charged at them, but through their combined efforts, house. The mother and daughter escaped the bathroom. They didn't know, however, that the boy was hiding upstairs. The mother told her daughter to hide in the warehouse while she searched the usual playroom, but all she found were two mutilated corpses gnawed by the monsters. A massive group of 730 men rushed toward her. Thinking fast, the mother grabbed a bottle of fuel, poured it on the ground, and set it ablaze. The fire incinerated many of them instantly, but the girl in the warehouse was now in danger. Dozens of 730 men crashed through the skylight. Amid the chaos, the girl spotted a grasshopper nearby. She tossed it out of the warehouse, and the frenzied creatures chased after it. Just then, the mother returned, pouring more fuel to create a firewall. Park finally reached home and discovered his son trapped in the junk room, but the house was overrun. They had to climb up from outside, but there was no ladder. Climbing was nearly impossible, and worse, the creatures had broken into the junk room. The boy fought them off with a stick. At that crucial moment, the girl's boyfriend returned. His family had safely escaped the town, but he came back for love. Luckily, he had a ladder in his car. With it, they managed to rescue the boy and escape. As they drove away, Park made a decision. He had to shut down the town's water system to stop further catastrophe. For safety, he sent his family far from the water zone. But then, the tower behind them suddenly collapsed. They barely survived. The 730 men had burst through the underground pipes and reached the surface. Before long, they were electrocuted by a high-voltage line. Park suddenly had an idea. They could lure all the creatures to the nearby power station and electrocute them at once. The key was the corpse smell of the 730 men. It attracted more of them. If they scattered enough remains near the station, they could trap and destroy them. They sprang into action. After collecting enough remains, they drove to the power station and dumped them at the intake zone. All they needed now was to wait for the creatures to gather, then activate the power. But nothing happened. Will went closer to check and accidentally fell into the intake. Park tried to save him, but it was too late. Will was swallowed by the monsters. With no choice left, Park shouted, "Flip the switch now. Just do it." Moments later, a massive surge of electricity blasted through the entire passage. The 730 men were electrocuted en masse. The horrifying creatures were destroyed. The survivors hugged each other with joy. The nightmare was finally over. And just like that, they became the heroes who saved the town.